Chapter 1. The Villain with a Vision. The Galactic Civil War. A tale of good versus evil, black and white, freedom versus tyranny. We know the story by heart. The plucky rebellion, a band of ragtag heroes, fights for the light against the tyrannical, faceless empire. But what if the story we've been told is a lie? What if the greatest villain of all wasn't a Sith Lord in a black mask, but a brilliant alien strategist with a passion for art? What if the villain we were told to hate was, in his own mind, a hero? This is the story of Grand Admiral Thrawn. His name, for many, evokes the epitome of cold, calculating evil, the Empire's last, best hope. The man who came closer than anyone to crushing the nascent new republic and erasing all hope. But to understand Thrawn, we must look beyond the black and white of the rebellion's propaganda and see the galaxy through his eyes. Because to Thrawn, the Empire wasn't tyranny, it was order. And order to him was the only thing that could save the galaxy from a far greater threat. He is a paradox, not an alien, in a xenophobic, human-centric empire. He wasn't a believer in Palpatine's grand vision of an empire built on fear. He was a believer in efficiency, strategy, and the preservation of culture. He joined the Empire not for power, but out of absolute necessity in his legend's origin. As told in the novel Outbound Flight, Thrawn, then known as Mithra Nu Modo, foresaw an incomprehensible threat from the unknown regions, the Yuuzhan Vong. He knew the squabbling, divided republic of the old era was too weak, too short-sighted, to ever defend against it. He needed a unified, powerful entity to protect his people, the Kaisers, and the rest of the galaxy. The Empire was that entity. It was the blunt instrument. He needed to forge a shield against the coming storm. This fundamental motivation reframes every one of his actions. When he uses his famous psychological warfare, studying a culture's art to predict their movements, he isn't just being a villainous genius. He's being a curator of galactic history, understanding the very soul of a people to neutralize a threat with minimal bloodshed. We see this in the Legends novel Heir to the Empire, where he methodically outmaneuvers the New Republic, not with overwhelming force, but with surgical strikes and psychological ploys. He doesn't want to destroy the Republic. He wants to break its will, to prove that it is not yet capable of the organized might needed to face the true dangers lurking in the dark. Consider his tactics. Thrawn is not Vader. He's not a brute force killer. He's a strategist who believes in victory through superior intellect, not superior firepower. In Rebels, we see him give Ezra Bridger a chance to live, even to grow, because he respects the boy's potential. He doesn't destroy the lawful rebels just for the sake of it. He sees them as a tactical problem to be solved, and he is willing to accept a clever defeat. He's not motivated by hate, but by a cold, clinical logic. He would rather a ship surrender intact than see it destroyed. This stands in stark contrast to the likes of Grand Moff Tarkin, who saw planets as expendable and a show of force as the ultimate strategy. For Thrawn, the Death Star was a crude and wasteful display of power, a testament to a mindset he found primitive and unsustainable. In his canon origin, his journey is similar, but with a distinct twist. The threat is still from the unknown regions, but it's not explicitly the Yuuzhan Vong. He is an envoy from his people, the Kaisers, seeking a partnership with the Empire to defend against these yet-to-be-revealed dangers. He's a patriot, a protector, using the Empire as a means to an end. This version of his story, as told in Timothy Zahn's new books, reinforces his heroic purpose. He is forced to operate within a system he finds illogical, a system that fears and hates his people, all because it is the only viable tool for galactic defense he can find. This fundamental motivation reframes every one of his actions. When he uses his famous psychological warfare, studying a culture's art to predict their movements, he isn't just being a villainous genius. He's being a curator of galactic history, understanding the very soul of a people to neutralize a threat with minimal bloodshed. We see this in the Legends novel Heir to the Empire, where he methodically outmaneuvers the New Republic, not with overwhelming force, but with surgical strikes and psychological ploys. He doesn't want to destroy the Republic. He wants to break its will, to prove that it is not yet capable of the organized might needed to face the true dangers lurking in the dark. Thrawn is a hero in the classical sense, a man with a singular, noble purpose who is willing to make morally ambiguous choices for the greater good. He is a tragic hero, bound to an organization he doesn't fully believe in, fighting a war he doesn't truly care about, all to prepare the galaxy for a future it doesn't even know is coming. He is a defender of order, a preserver of art, and a patriot to a cause much larger than the empire he serves. The New Republic saw a monster, but they couldn't see the hero hiding in plain sight. Chapter 2. The Art of War. Precision and Preservation. Recall Thrawn's motivations, his ultimate goal of protecting the galaxy. Now, let's delve into one of his most defining characteristics, his profound study of art and culture as a key to understanding his enemies. This isn't merely a villainous quirk, a sophisticated form of manipulation. Instead, it's a core component of his strategic philosophy, a methodology aimed at achieving decisive victories with minimal waste and maximum efficiency. He seeks to understand his opponents on a fundamental level, to predict their actions and dismantle their strategies from the inside out. He often prefers psychological defeat over outright annihilation. This approach reveals a mind that values preservation and deep understanding over the brute force so often favored by the Empire. Thrawn firmly believes that a civilization's art provides a unique window into its collective psyche. It reveals their fears, their desires, their historical context, and ultimately, their strategic mindset. By immersing himself in the artistic expressions of a culture, from their paintings and sculptures to their music and literature, he gains an almost intuitive understanding of how they think. He understands how they value and how they are likely to act in a given situation. This allows him to craft strategies that are not only tactically sound, but also psychologically resonant. He exploits cultural nuances and predicts responses with uncanny accuracy. This isn't about simple trickery. It's about a deep, intellectual form of engagement with his adversaries. He treats them as complex entities worthy of study, even as he seeks to defeat them. In Legends, this is exemplified by his meticulous analysis of various alien cultures. He would study Bothan tapestries to decipher their intricate communication methods and predict their political maneuvers. He examined Celestan architecture to understand their defensive strategies and identify potential vulnerabilities in their planetary shield grids. Even the flowing designs of Mon Calamari cruisers offered insights into their naval tactics and command structure. His understanding of the New Republic leaders was similarly informed by their backgrounds and the cultural values of their home worlds. He analyzed Leia Organa's Alderaanian heritage and her unwavering commitment to freedom. This allowed him to anticipate her strategic priorities and her willingness to take risks for the greater good. Similarly, Admiral Akbar's Mon Calamari background and his experience fighting the Empire informed Thrawn's predictions of his fleet deployments and tactical decision-making. This wasn't just about military intelligence. It was about understanding the very essence of his opponents. Thrawn's tactics are designed to be surgically precise, aiming to achieve objectives with the least possible expenditure of resources and lives. This applies to both his side and often the enemy's. This stands in stark contrast to the brutal, fear-based methods of other Imperial leaders like Grand Moff Tarkin. Where Tarkin would have blown up a planet to make a statement, Thrawn would dismantle a planetary defense grid with surgical efficiency to force a surrender. For him, the Death Star was a crude, wasteful, and strategically short-sighted weapon. Its doctrine of fear was based on destruction, which Thrawn found primitive and unsustainable. A true victory, in his eyes, was a show of superior intellect that left the enemy intact, humbled, and incapable of further resistance. He would rather a ship surrender than be destroyed, as it could be analyzed, studied, and even integrated into his own fleet. This approach is evident in both Legends and canon. In Legends, his capture of the Katana fleet, a powerful armada of Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, was a masterstroke of logistics and psychological warfare. He didn't destroy them. He used his knowledge of their history to acquire them as a valuable asset. Similarly, in Rebels, his interactions with Hera Syndulla and Ezra Bridger consistently show a commander who is patient and analytical. He doesn't just want to crush the rebellion. He wants to outthink it. He gives them opportunities to make mistakes. And when they do, he exploits those errors with a calculated precision that minimizes his own losses. He is willing to accept a clever defeat, as he sees it as a learning opportunity. This is not the behavior of a ruthless tyrant, but of a true chess master who is more concerned with the intellectual challenge of warfare than the simple act of killing Dot in the end. Thrawn's tactical approach, driven by an understanding of art and a pursuit of efficiency, positions him as a strategic genius. He fundamentally sought to preserve rather than to destroy. His villainy in tactics is merely his mastery, interpreted as cruel manipulation by those he opposes. He is a tragic figure who brings order and efficiency to a system he finds chaotic, all for a cause no one else can see. His actions are not fueled by malice, but by an unwavering dedication to his vision of a more perfect, more secure galaxy. Chapter 3: Leading with Loyalty, Inspiring and Empowering. In the brutal and backstabbing world of the Galactic Empire, leadership is almost always a matter of fear. Officers climb the ranks by betraying their superiors, and subordinates are kept in line by the constant threat of summary execution. Yet, Grand Admiral Thrawn operates on a completely different principle. He is a commander who inspires genuine loyalty and respect, not through terror, but through a radical and unwavering commitment to meritocracy. This is a profound contradiction to the Empire's modus operandi, and it stands as a testament to his heroic qualities as a leader. He is a beacon of competence in a sea of inefficiency. Thrawn's command is built on a foundation of respect for talent and intellect, regardless of rank or species. He rewards results, not political allegiance or inherited status. This approach is a complete rejection of the typical imperial chain of command, which often relies on political maneuvering, family connections, and the ability to intimidate rivals. For advancement, Thrawn sets clear expectations and provides his officers with the tools and autonomy to succeed. trusting in their abilities to execute his strategic vision. His subordinates serve him not out of dread of punishment, but out of a deep and earned admiration for his unparalleled strategic genius and his unwavering focus on the mission. He builds a team of specialists, each excelling in their own domain, all unified by their trust in his leadership. He is the ultimate orchestrator, but he gives each musician the freedom to play their part perfectly. The greatest example of this in Legends is his relationship with Captain, later Grand Admiral, Gilad Pellaeon. When they first meet, Pellaeon is a cynical, by-the-book officer, deeply skeptical of this blue-skinned alien who has risen to such a high rank. He expects Thrawn to be another arrogant, ruthless Imperial, and he is fully prepared to be disappointed. Instead, he finds a calm, methodical commander who consistently outsmarts every opponent with a chilling yet beautiful efficiency. Pellaeon learns and grows under Thrawn's mentorship, developing from a competent but uninspired officer into a capable fleet commander in his own right. Thrawn trusts him implicitly, relying on Pellaeon as his most important confidant and a critical voice in his strategic planning. This mentorship, this cultivation of talent, is a heroic trait we rarely, if ever, see in other Imperial leaders. Where Darth Vader would choke a subordinate for a minor failure, Thrawn would calmly explain the mistake, not just to avoid repetition, but to improve his officer's understanding of strategy. Thrawn's leadership is a stark contrast to the fear and intimidation of figures like Darth Vader or Moff Gideon. While those commanders inspire obedience through violence, Thrawn inspires it through brilliance. His crew on the Chimera is a well-oiled machine, not because they fear punishment, but because they believe in their commander's vision and his ability to lead them to victory. This is a key difference that makes him so compelling and, in a way, more terrifying to his enemies. His strength comes not from a doctrine of fear, but from a foundation of trust and respect. He is a true commander, not just a brutal dictator. He understands that a loyal, efficient force is far more effective than a terrified one. His goal is not to punish incompetence, but to eliminate it, either by training his personnel or replacing them with a more suitable individual. This cold logic, while unsettling to outsiders, breeds a fierce devotion among his ranks, because they know their talents will be recognized and utilized for a singular, unifying purpose. He makes his subordinates better, which is perhaps the most heroic quality of all. Thrawn's respect for talent often extends even to his enemies, a highly unconventional trait for an Imperial. He doesn't see them as simple terrorists or disposable rebels. He sees them as worthy opponents, strategic, minds to be outmaneuvered, not simply annihilated. This respect, while intimidating, can also be seen as a form of intellectual honor, where the game of strategy is more important than the simple act of winning Dot in Legends. He held a profound respect for leaders like Admiral Akbar, viewing him as an intelligent strategic mind rather than just a rebel to be crushed. He often expressed his frustration when his adversaries acted illogically or emotionally, demonstrating his desire for a true contest of wills and intellect. He would rather defeat a brilliant plan with a superior one than simply overwhelm an ill-conceived defense with sheer firepower. This intellectual honesty is a rare and heroic quality in a setting defined by moral and ideological absolutes in canon. This respect is perhaps most clearly shown in his interactions with the crew of the Ghost, especially Hera Syndulla and Ezra Bridger. He is consistently fascinated by their resourcefulness and their ability to defy his expectations, not just with power, but with cleverness and spirit. He offers Ezra the chance to join him, not as a manipulation, but from a place of genuine recognition of the boy's unique force, talent, and potential. He sees it being squandered in a disorganized rebellion and wants to cultivate it for his own larger purpose. While he seeks to defeat them, he does so with a sense of intellectual curiosity, wanting to understand the nature of their defiance and the wellspring of their hope. This is not the behavior of a commander consumed by hatred. It is the calculated interest of a mind obsessed with understanding and ultimately with control for a higher cause. Thrawn's command bridge is a place of calm, analytical discussion, not outbursts of rage or summary executions. This makes his vessel, the Chimera, an efficient, terrifying fighting machine, precisely because its crew is inspired, not terrorized. This humane approach, within the brutal context of war, further argues for his heroic nature, as he elevates those around him rather than diminishes them. Thrawn's leadership style, rooted in merit, respect, and the cultivation of talent, makes him an unparalleled commander. His ability to foster genuine loyalty stands in stark contrast to the fear-driven Empire, positioning him as a more principled, even heroic, figure in command. The very traits that make him an effective villain, his cold, analytical detachment and lack of personal hatred, are the same ones that make him a more effective leader and ultimately a more fascinating and complex character than the typical imperial brute. He is a tragic figure who brings order and efficiency to a system he finds chaotic, all for a cause no one else can see. His actions are not fueled by malice, but by an unwavering dedication to his vision of a more perfect, more secure galaxy. Chapter 4: The Imperial Anomaly. An alien in a human empire. In all our previous discussions of Thrawn's strategic brilliance and his merit-based leadership, we've only touched on the most profound paradox of his existence. He is an alien, at the very pinnacle of a staunchly xenophobic galactic empire. But this is not merely an interesting detail. It's the central tragedy and defining test of his heroic purpose. Thrawn willingly operates within a system that despises his very species, enduring constant prejudice and suspicion, all for a goal that almost no one else shares or even believes in. This act of self-sacrifice and unwavering dedication to a higher cause sets him apart from every other Imperial officer and solidifies his place as a misunderstood hero. The Galactic Empire's human-centric ideology is one of its core tenets. Non-human species are not merely tolerated. They are relegated to second-class citizens, forced into servitude, or simply exterminated. Yet Thrawn not only survived this environment, but thrived in it. Rising to the rank of Grand Admiral, he had to prove his worth at every single step of his career, not just to his enemies, but to his allies. In the Legends continuity, his initial encounters with the Empire were marked by skepticism and outright hostility. Many Imperial officers saw his presence as an affront to their very doctrine. Thrawn overcame this prejudice through sheer, unassailable competence. His victories were so complete, his strategy so flawless, that his superiors, including the Emperor himself, were forced to recognize his genius despite their own deep-seated biases. They could not deny the results, even as they bristled at their source. Thrawn's success was a constant living indictment of the xenophobia he was forced to endure. This is where the true heroic sacrifice lies. Thrawn wasn't fighting for the Empire's ideology. He was fighting through the Empire for a truly galactic, existential cause. He played a long game, using a tool he found distasteful because it was the only one available. His compliance with Imperial directives, even those he found crude or inefficient, was a calculated cost. He understood that to save the galaxy, he had to work within its most powerful, albeit corrupt, organization. He endured insults, political maneuvering, and constant scrutiny, all while carrying the burden of a secret, the looming threat from the unknown regions that the rest of the galaxy was completely blind to. His position was one of profound isolation. He was an outsider in the Empire, an exile from his own people, and a prophet of a doom no one would believe. He had no true friends, no confidants with whom he could share the weight of his knowledge. His genius was his greatest weapon, but it was also the source of his profound loneliness. The sheer willpower required to operate in such an environment is staggering. Every day, Thrawn had to be perfect. A single mistake, a single defeat, would not just be a career setback. It would be seen as proof of his inferiority, a justification for the very prejudice he sought to overcome. He was a living paradox, a walking contradiction to the Empire's core beliefs, and as such, he had to be an absolute paragon of efficiency and brilliance. He could never afford to be anything less than flawless. This dedication, this supreme level of mental and emotional endurance in the face of constant hostility, is the mark of a true hero. He was not fighting for power or glory. He was fighting to validate his presence and to ensure the galaxy would have a chance at survival. He was building a shield, brick by brick, using the very hands of those who would rather see him destroyed. Thrawn's isolation is not just political. It is deeply personal. He operates within an empire that despises his species, and he possesses knowledge of an extragalactic threat that no one else understands or believes. This combination means he has few, if any, true allies. His strategic brilliance makes him an enigma to his peers, and his alien identity makes him a pariah. His psychological burden is immense, yet he bears it stoically because his commitment to his mission outweighs his desire for personal comfort or acceptance. He is a lonely sentinel, enduring the prejudices of his own side for the sake of the galaxy's future in canon. This is highlighted by his relationship with Emperor Palpatine. Their alliance is not one of mutual respect, but a pragmatic arrangement. Palpatine recognized Thrawn's strategic genius and saw an opportunity to exploit it for his own ends. Thrawn, in turn, used Palpatine's vast resources and authority to prepare for the threats he knew were coming. This alliance of convenience shows just how much Thrawn was willing to compromise. He worked for the architect of tyranny, not because he believed in it, but because he needed the Empire's might to build a shield against the coming darkness. He was a man of principle who was forced to deal with an unprincipled regime. A classic heroic trope. His willingness to make this bargain, to sacrifice his own integrity in the eyes of others, is the mark of a true hero. He chose to be an outcast, a pariah, in order to save the very people who would have seen him dead. Thrawn's story, therefore, is a testament to the idea that heroes can come in many forms, and their actions can be misinterpreted by those who lack their foresight. His endurance of the Empire's xenophobia, his willingness to be the anomaly, speaks volumes about his commitment. He is a patriot, but not to the Empire. He is a patriot to the galaxy. He is a defender of a civilization that, ironically, would rather see him dead than accept his help. His alien identity, which marks him as a villain to many Imperials, is what makes him so unique and so tragically heroic. He is a mirror to the galaxy's own hypocrisy, a reflection of its short-sightedness, and a living symbol of the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. This supreme act of self-sacrifice is what elevates him beyond a mere villain. He did what no one else would or could do, for a cause no one else could see. He was the only one with the foresight and the willpower to stand against the coming darkness, and for that he was punished. This is the tragic essence of his character, and it leads us to the final, heartbreaking conclusion of his story. Chapter 5. The Tragic Hero. A Vision Unfulfilled. In all our previous discussions, we've carefully pieced together the puzzle of Grand Admiral Thrawn's character. We've seen his heroic motivations, his precise and artistic tactical mind, his inspiring leadership, and his tragic isolation as an alien in a xenophobic empire. Now, we must examine the final, crucial piece of his story, his ultimate defeat. This is not simply the end of a villain's reign. It is the tragic downfall of a hero. Thrawn's legacy is defined by a supreme irony. His heroic foresight and dedication were ultimately for nothing. The very galaxy he fought to protect failed to understand his sacrifice until it was too late. His defeat in both continuities serves as the devastating conclusion to his selfless mission. The legend's continuity provides the most powerful and heartbreaking evidence for this argument. In The Last Command, Thrawn's meticulous campaign to dismantle the New Republic is cut short not by a superior military strategy. Instead, it's by the betrayal of his personal bodyguard, Rock, a Nogri, under the sway of a vengeful Leia Organa. His death at this critical moment was, for the New Republic, a celebrated victory. But from a broader perspective, it was a catastrophic loss. With Thrawn gone, the galaxy lost its most capable defender, just as it was about to face the ultimate test of its survival, the Yuuzhan Vong. The Yuuzhan Vong invasion was the cosmic storm Thrawn had spent his entire life preparing for. They were a threat unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Immune to the Force, masters of biotechnology, and driven by a fanatical religious fervor. The New Republic, having celebrated Thrawn's defeat, was completely unprepared. Thrawn's warnings were forgotten, his intelligence dismissed. Worlds burned and trillions died in a war that could have been avoided had the galaxy listened to its reluctant savior. The tragic irony is heartbreaking. The very forces that led to his death, the idealism and personal attachments of Leia, and the cunning of her intelligence, were the things that blinded the New Republic to the true danger. They defeated the most visible threat without realizing they had eliminated their only hope against the real one. Thrawn's downfall was not a testament to the superiority of the New Republic, but rather a consequence of his own limitations. His reliance on cold, clinical logic made him blind to the emotional and spiritual truths of the Force. He could not predict the actions of a Force user like Leia, whose moral righteousness and personal relationships were outside the bounds of his analytical framework. He was a brilliant strategist, but he was a man who failed to understand the power of belief and the unpredictable nature of passion. His death at the hands of a Nogri, who was motivated by a deeply emotional, spiritual debt to Leia, was the ultimate embodiment of this blindness. He died not from a flaw in his strategy, but from a fatal flaw in his understanding of the human heart. This tragic irony elevates his character from a mere villain to a profound and complex figure. He was a hero whose purpose was too big for the galaxy to comprehend. And for that, he paid the ultimate price. In the canon continuity, the tragedy is different, but no less profound. Thrawn's story ends with him and Ezra Bridger disappearing into another galaxy altogether, an outcome that is a mystery to both the Empire and the Rebellion. His defeat is not a death, but a vanishing act. While this leaves open the possibility of his return, it still deprives the galaxy of his genius during a crucial period. With Thrawn gone, the Empire's last, best hope is extinguished, and the emerging New Republic is left to its own devices. They inherit a galactic power vacuum, but remain completely unaware of the larger, darker forces at play in the unknown regions, the very threats Thrawn had been fighting to prepare for. His unfulfilled mission casts a long shadow over the entire saga. The galaxy, in its celebration of his downfall, unknowingly left itself exposed to a darkness far greater than any it had ever known. This supreme act of self-sacrifice is what elevates him beyond a mere villain. He did what no one else would or could do, for a cause no one else could see. He was the only one with the foresight and the willpower to stand against a coming darkness. And for that, he was punished. This is the tragic essence of his character, and it leaves us with the haunting question: what might have been if the galaxy had seen the hero hiding in plain sight? Thrawn's greatness wasn't just in his intelligence. It was in the application of that intelligence. His mind was a beautiful, terrifying instrument of order. He didn't use his intellect to conquer or to dominate, but to understand. His meticulous study of art, music, and culture wasn't a villainous quirk. It was the empathetic pursuit of connection. It was a way to know the souls of his enemies so intimately that he could defeat them with minimal destruction. For Thrawn, a battle wasn't won with brute force, but with a perfect, elegant solution. That left both sides intact. He was a strategic artist, and his canvas was the galaxy itself. But beneath the cold, calculating surface of the Grand Admiral was a surprising kindness. It was a kindness of respect and honor, extended to those who earned it, regardless of their allegiance. He saw the genius in an opponent, the potential in a rebellious youth, the loyalty in a subordinate, and he nurtured it. His relationship with Captain Pellaeon in Legends wasn't a master-servant dynamic, but a mentorship that forged a great commander. His offer to Ezra Bridger wasn't a trap, but a genuine acknowledgement of a powerful talent he believed was being wasted. His leadership inspired not fear, but fierce devotion, a testament to a man who saw worth in others and cultivated it. This was the kindness of a true leader, one who sought to build up, not tear down. His death wasn't a moment of triumph. It was a moment of profound, cosmic sadness. The galaxy had defeated its most brilliant mind, and in doing so, it ensured its own suffering. Thrawn was a hero, a defender, a martyr to a cause no one else could see, and his tragic demise serves as a haunting reminder that sometimes the greatest good is done by those the world labels a villain. His legacy is the terrible truth that the most dangerous enemies are often the ones you don't even know exist, and the most valuable heroes are those you're too busy fighting to see.